Okay, you are now watching the Q&A Ask Us Anything episode of the DeProgram show with Rall and Jamarl Thomas for Wednesday, July 29th, 2026. Thanks for joining us. If you are new to this, the way this works is if you had a question, comment, rant, whatever that you want to give to Jamarl, myself, Robbie, or two of us, three of us, whatever you want to do, or just spout off. Just come on to the live stream. We're usually here Mondays and Wednesdays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Today, because I got a doctor's appointment, we're going to do this just for 30 minutes. So we're going to go from 12 to 12:30 Eastern. So we'll try to get to all of your questions. Priority is going to go to the paid ones. Those are the Rumble rants and the super chats on YouTube. Trying to think about anything else. Still basking in the glow of being the number one show in the nation on Rumble this morning. Kind of amazing. I hope the money pours in as the Fang punk rock song goes, and the money will roll right in. We shall see. We shall see. Anyway, okay. So, Robbie, you were saying before we went live.
No, what I'm doing I'm building my own AI model, and it is pretty freaking wild because the conventional wisdom is that you need $250,000 to do this, and it's just a massive endeavor. Which is true if I was trying to build another Chat GPT or something, but I'm not. I'm just building a local model for my business, just basically work as an employee, and it is amazing when you see just how far technology has come, like back from the old TRS 80 days to where we are now. And you can definitely see how powerful and how dangerous AI is, because if it's not constrained, it can actually do some wild crap. And I'm not sure that the tech elites that we have running the country right now, with the profit race that they have about being first on everything, ethics and morality and even safety be damned, it's really concerning, because if you take the right shortcuts in order to be number one, it can be bad. It's kind of like Data's evil twin brother.
Lore.
Yeah, I don't remember what his name was, but I remember he was an asshole.
That guy's such a good actor too. Star Trek actors, they often can't get enough work because the roles that are written for them are so intense and so defining that casting directors are worried that they've been typecast. Okay, do we have any questions to answer here? Any comments?
So JS Quilly says, "Morning, guys. Couple questions for you. What is your favorite country flag, and have y'all seen the Odyssey, and what did you think?"
I'll answer first about the Odyssey. I have not seen it yet, but I intend to. It's sold out in New York well into August. Every show from like 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. I mean, who's going to the movies at 6 a.m. anyway? But yeah, so I guess I'll see it, but not soon.
What is it around this show? I don't understand the buzz around this movie. Is it just because they race the actors? Like they would have a black woman playing Cleopatra or whatever the hell.
Helena Troy.
Sorry. Helena Troy, thank you. But basically having a black woman play Cleopatra.
What's weird is that Christopher Nolan has this reputation of being an amazing auteur, right? Like He's the guy, right? So I'm looking at his best known movies, right? So Oppenheimer, not really.
Oh, I didn't even see Oppenheimer. I was thinking like Tenet or like the other one he did. What is the dream world one? Inception.
Inception. I saw Inception. Probably this is part of the problem. I probably saw it like 4 or 5 times because I was in Istanbul when the movie came out, and this was at the time when Istanbul still didn't have a lot of air conditioning, and it was a heat wave. And I was like, I just wanted to stay cool. So in the developing world, you go to the movies to stay cool. So I saw it probably 5, 6, 7 times. I also saw it like in Mumbai and it was like same thing. Like I just need to be cool. The movie's really not that good.
You didn't think it was good?
No, I didn't like it at all. And it's like
Okay,
the
what about
music's
Tenet?
annoying as shit. Like rah! And I felt like, like I was basically like a ship was about to hit me in the harbor. Interstellar is pretty good. I
Interstellar is
wouldn't
another
say
one.
it's superb.
Really? I thought
Tenet,
Interstellar was exceptional.
do you
The
remember
astronaut named Man.
do you remember Tenet was the big cash grab during COVID. It was
Tenet
like
was
it was the
fantastic.
only movie that came out new. They decided to release it only on streaming because all the theaters were closed. It was 2020, and they charged $19.99 to see it.
It was worth
And
it.
I'm like, and it was not worth $19.99. It
It
wasn't
was
worth
worth it.
$9.99. No.
That movie was fantastic.
And
I
Dark
mean, in
Knight
fact,
is
all
like,
of those movies were great.
see, okay, this
I,
is our disagreement here.
I
I don't
can't
think
believe you
he's
didn't
that
like
good,
Interstellar.
but you at least you think he's a good director, so that might be part of it, right?
True, but I think he's a cerebral director. Like the Batman, for example. Going back to the Christopher Nolan Batman. Exceptional case. I mean, Heath Ledger Joker is iconic at this point. And even the Batman that he did with that was far more cerebral, far more psychological, with Batman as a detective and, a terror to the criminals and all of that other stuff. I don't know. I like him as a director.
Okay.
Memento,
I think there's a lot of people who agree with you and disagree with me. So that's part of it, is that people are looking forward to, in the same way that they look forward to seeing a Scorsese movie, or I look forward to seeing a Verhoeven movie. I'll see
I'm
anything
curious
that
why you didn't like
Verhoeven did.
Interstellar.
Pardon?
Why didn't you like Interstellar? I
No,
am curious about that.
I
Like,
didn't.
that
I
was a
wouldn't say I
big ticket
didn't.
movie.
I would recommend it to anybody who's just like looking for something to stream and be like, oh yeah, no, it's good. It's slow. The pacing is
True.
very off. It's unnecessarily draggy. A lot of sci-fi is like that. I mean, hell, I feel that way about 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's slow as shit,
But it's
and
very artistic.
like
Like
watching.
2001 is very artsy.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I
an
don't
ape
care
goes
for that.
blown into the sky and it turns into a spaceship. That's a hell of a that's a hell of a changeover, right?
I just don't care about shit like that. I mean, I know people do, and good for them. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just talking about, this is just Ted's opinion here. So, Robbie, I know you haven't seen the movie yet. So let's answer the other question. Favorite flag? America's is way low because the design's terrible. Just for that reason alone, it's off balance. It's busy. It just doesn't. It's a shitty flag, really.
I like South Korea's flag.
I don't really have a favorite flag.
I like
They're
North
just
Korea's flag better. Maybe.
flags to me. I mean, I understand the significance and the symbolism of, but I don't really have a favorite per se. Like, not, meaning I don't look at a flag and think, wow, that's a fantastic flag.
I would say, I got to say, I like Vietnam's flag
Okay.
with the yellow star with the red background, the red field. Amazing. Anyway, all right, let's keep going here.
Yeah.
We only have half an hour. Okay, morning, guys. It's afternoon technically. A couple questions for y'all. What's your favorite? Oh wait, we already did this. What am I doing? Actually, so what countries have the best local food and cuisine? Most unusual?
Brazil.
Louisiana.
Oh, you go with Louisiana.
France.
Louisiana.
The food in Brazil was fantastic.
Never been.
Japan was also really good.
Also, okay, biggest hidden secret though. Xinjiang in Western China. So also Uyghur, I mean, it's also known, it's just basically it's Uyghur food. Okay, the Uyghur food here in New York anyway, kind of like, but over there, holy shit. I mean,
It's really good.
It's so good. It's so spicy. It's so yummy. I mean, every day I wish a really good, authentic Uyghur Xinjiangese restaurant would open in New York.
Yeah.
I love Indian food too, but
by the way, Italy was good too.
Italy's great. Yeah, you
Italy
can't go wrong.
Amazing food.
Yeah.
Those three. I mean, Brazil.
Come on, you gotta have France in there. Gotta.
Yeah.
And that's why my biggest weakness is that I have just simply have not had the opportunity to travel as much as y'all have, and I wish that I had.
Food's one of the real treats of travel, for sure. Okay, so Spooky Fog wanted to connect you about Whitmer being popular in Michigan. She's hated now because of the data centers and Line 5. I don't know what Line 5 is, but yeah, because I don't know what that is, but the DNC talking point that we're getting in the media is, Haley Stevens has to win because she's got Big Gretch on her side. Big Gretch is like a kingmaker in Michigan, and that's going to determine everything. So if this person's correct, this could be overblown. But the polls, on the other hand, are not moving in Syed's direction.
Well, that's what we're asking. So up to this point, he has not made gains even after the debate.
There's been no polling since then, so we don't know. So these internal tracking polls, but the campaigns are holding those close to the vest.
So Line 5 is a 645-mile oil pipeline that transports basically 500,000 barrels of crude oil and natural gas daily from Superior, Wisconsin to Sarnia, Ontario.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could see that being unpopular.
But the same
pipelines have to go somewhere, right? I mean,
well, that's what I was going to say. The same people who complain about the pipeline would also complain about oil prices going up.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
True. All right. Okay, this is a good question. Mohammed Mustafa, why are you guys critical of Ukraine, who are defending themselves from an invasion, and label their attacks on Russia as terror attacks, but literally adopt this exact opposite stance for Iran?
Those are good questions. These are radically different things. Meaning, to ask that question has to accept this premise that Iran was just standing there and Russia just hit them for no reason, which is not really true. I mean, going all the way back to 2008, Russia had been complaining about the U.S. using Georgia and Ukraine effectively for their U.S. aspirations of expanding NATO. This was a no-no. This was a no-no even going back when the fall of the Soviet Union, where the U.S. was like, no, we won't move an inch to the east. They moved to the border, and then they knocked over the government of Ukraine. I don't mean to get active on this, but this is an argument I've had with my ex on more than one occasion, where it was deeply annoying to me because I knew she knew dick about this subject, and yet will still take this kind of nonsense answer from Google. Look, the reality of it is, this was not a situation where independent Ukraine was acting on its own and making its own democratic decisions. This was a Ukraine that was presented with an agreement from the standpoint of a trade deal by Europe that was bad for Ukraine, in which case Poroshenko chose not to do it. Not Poroshenko, Yanukovych chose not to do it. At the point where the Russians also had a deal that would have been far better off for Ukraine. When Yanukovych says, okay, we'll pause this, then you get the overthrow of the government of Ukraine with Victoria Nuland out there selling cookies, and with a text message or with an audio call between her and I believe Jeffrey Pyatt, basically saying, fuck the EU, we're going to midwipe this thing, and basically we're going to overthrow this government. And the people who she wanted to put in were put in, not her, but the US government wanted to put in, were the ones that were ultimately put in. I'm saying this is not Russia just golly gee wanting to take over all of Europe. This is the US knocking over a democratic government, installing a bunch of Nazis as the tip of the spear for that, and then having troops on the border like they were going to invade Donbass. This is not, meaning these are two radically different things. The United States attacked Iran when Iran wasn't doing anything to the United States, meaning it wasn't like Iran was a threat to the US. It wasn't that. We just attacked. And this is after killing the supreme leader, after killing Soleimani, and for that matter, attacking them during negotiations. This is not what happened here. In fact, this could have been over with the negotiations that were taking place in Istanbul, because apparently they had a deal in place by pretty much everybody who was there agreed with such, with ultimately Boris Johnson representing the Western interest saying, cut it out. You're not going to get security guarantees from us. Just keep fighting. We'll help you win the war, when that wasn't the case. Meaning, my point is, these are two radically different situations.
Also, I mean, Ukraine outlawed the Russian language. They outlawed Russian literature. They outlawed the Russian Ukrainian church, which is one of the oldest churches. Yeah, I mean, it is the word fascist gets thrown a lot here in the United States, but I mean, Ukraine is a fascist state. I mean,
yes,
they have Bandera as a national hero.
He's on stamps. There's streets named after him. Like, how many Hitler streets are there in Germany? It's like that. I mean, it's literally the only country in the world that has any of its troops wearing Nazi insignia with permission, right? I mean, Pete Hegseth has it tattooed on his body, but it's not on his uniform. It's so. I mean, look, I think the genius of the Victoria Newlands and the Obama assholes back in 2014 was that they set it up to make Russia look like the bad guy to people who weren't paying close attention. It's like, we're going to set it up. We're going to take them over. We're going to make it look, we're going to create like an internal conflict. This is a trap. It's like Brzezinski in Afghanistan in 1979. We're going to put them in an impossible predicament where they have to intervene, because if they don't, we own them, and we have NATO right on their most fragile, their most sensitive border, the border through which Nazis came through, and killed 28 million of their citizens not very long ago. But we're going to make them look like the innocent victims here. And it worked. I mean, for people who don't pay close attention, it just looks, Russia invaded Ukraine. But, that ignores the civil conflict that was happening in the Donbass, the breakaway republics, the situation with Crimea, which was predominantly Russian, breaking away through a plebiscite that, by all accounts, according to international observers, was free and fair. The fact is, basically, what is this really about? This is about, does Russia have the right to have, countries around it, or just put it this way, have friendly relations with them? Now, maybe not. Maybe they don't have a legal right to it, but they have like a practical right to it, in the same way that the U.S. has a practical right not to have hostile enemy nations on its own borders. It wouldn't tolerate it, right? And so, just for its internal security. So, is Ukraine a sovereign state that got invaded? Yes, but is it really sovereign? No, because it was the puppet of Washington. It's you have to view this from the Russian point of view, where it's like, there you are, you have great relations with Ukraine. In 2014, the president of Ukraine returns your phone calls. You have great trading relations. You have, everything is fine, and then that guy is overthrown by the United States, and they install a puppet with a bunch of neo-Nazis helping out, and the CIA helping out, and the U.S. is picking their cabinet members, and then they go to war against the ethnic Russian minority in the eastern part of the country. I mean, it's like, what are they supposed to do? Nothing. So it's kind of like, this was you really could, I would say, Russia's big mistake probably was not invading sooner, in order to say, we are defending our ally who was overthrown in a fascist coup. Putin was too patient. He waited 8 years. He probably should have gone in 2015.
I think he would agree with you.
He's too cautious.
I think he would agree.
He's too cautious. Even now, he's too cautious.
Well, what's funny about that? Putin responded to that in a speech. So apparently a soldier, in a speech that he recently gave, said that they wanted progress to take place faster on the battlefield. And Putin made the point of saying, yes, so do I. But then also added the caveat that I'm trying to cut down on the number of lives that are lost from the Russian side in the war. Because you can imagine, from the Russian point of view, that would be somewhat destabilizing if you have these massive casualties that the West is claiming, 1 million Russian men have died in the war. No, I don't think so. Not in the way that they're prosecuting the war, and certainly not in the way that the war is being executed now. Look, that question blows my mind. That question blows my mind. Everything you guys said.
It's a good question, though, because a lot of people, come on, the propaganda is a tsunami. Yeah. I mean, people the fact that anybody agrees with us is a miracle.
I don't think it's a miracle, but I guess my thought is, it's like Ukraine was killing its own people at one point.
Like, but nobody knew, because it was happening in Ukraine, and Americans don't follow news from far away.
We don't pay attention to it. They killed 40,000 of their own people. Mind you, they were Russian-speaking or ethnic Russian Ukrainians. Mm-hmm. But at somewhere along the way, Eastern Ukraine ceased to be Ukraine and ended up being Russia, from the standpoint of the way that the media talked about this stuff. They effectively ignored the fact that Ukraine was doing this. It's wild. I mean, yeah, you're right. If you weren't paying close attention, you could just say, oh, those dastardly Russians. are up to this again.
And we're completely lubed up to hate the Russians because of the Cold War.
True. And they went with it also. Not to mention the Russiagate stuff.
The Russians didn't propagandize correctly. They should have said, if I'm not sure, American public opinion was ever that terribly important to Vladimir Putin, and maybe never will be, and maybe it shouldn't be. But he clearly didn't play to it. He didn't, because if he did, he would have been like, Ukraine, the legitimate government has been overthrown by the CIA. We are going to defend the legitimate government of Ukraine, and that he should have kept saying that. Because the problem is, by the time Zelensky rolls around, you're now 3 presidents in. Now there's been it's a new government. It's a new post-revolutionary, post-counter-revolutionary regime. You've had not 1 president replaced, but not 2, but 3. Nobody's. It's like for you and me, this is not a legitimate regime,
right?
And certainly
we're criminalizing other parties,
and they certainly haven't acted like legitimate since the beginning of the war by being so brutal and authoritarian, canceling all their elections, martial law.
But they wouldn't retain power without doing those things. I mean, meaning they
because Zelensky was really unpopular in Ukraine.
Yeah, they were unpopular. I mean, keep in mind, when Zelensky got in under this idea that we're not going to have a war, kind of like Trump. We're not going to have a war. We need to work with the Russians and all this other stuff, meaning the overwhelming majority of the population voted for Zelensky. He
was like Trump. He was a weirdo outsider actor.
And a peace candidate.
Yeah.
Supposedly, leading, People of the Servants Party, a Servant of the People Party, in the same way he did on the television show.
Named after his TV show, yeah.
Yeah, which is just wild.
Distinguished Turtle. Yeah, it would be like if Trump called it ran on the Apprentice Party ticket. Distinguished Turtle. Ted, what's it going to take to get you to play Civilization 6 with Robbie and JT?
JT, we got to play again. People ask if they want to see more.
Okay, that's a good question, Ted.
All right, we'll talk about it. Do I have to download it, or how does that work?
You have to download it. It's basically you go on Steam, download it, and at that point we can play online.
Okay, I don't know what a Steam is. I'll have to figure that out. Okay. All right, Dead Meme Club, thank you so much for the $20. Chocolate or vanilla ice cream, tea or coffee, and if you had unlimited money but had to be trapped in one country, where? Okay, vanilla, although I prefer chocolate. I prefer coffee. Definitely, if I never see a cup of tea again the rest of my life, that's fine. Coffee only for me. And if you had unlimited money but had to be trapped in one country, where? Got to go France. The food.
Unlimited money?
Yeah.
Well, vanilla ice cream. I don't like chocolate ice cream. Tea or coffee, either one. I'm partial to both, and I fluctuate between the two.
Country?
And as for country, oh man, unlimited money. See, I really enjoyed Portugal. No bullshit.
Portugal's
Lisbon
great.
is one of my favorite countries.
It's great. Portugal's great. Robbie?
Chocolate ice cream. I am a coffee addict. And for the country, I've never been to either one. So I'm just talking about ignorance and stuff that I've seen online and reading. I would pick either China or Kazakhstan.
China's a good choice.
And I think if I had to pick between one or the other, I'd have to go to Kazakhstan because it's big, it's wide open, it's empty. There's mountains. I can shoot all the guns I want to. And
that's true.
They have Baptist churches there, and I have to go to Kazakhstan.
I'd visit you in Kazakhstan, Robbie.
Me too.
Yeah. Americans can get a 1-month visa, I think.
I would buy myself a ranch, and I would homestead.
It would remind you a lot of Montana.
Would it? See, I've never been to Kazakhstan. Is that what it's? What is it? I mean, I would imagine
it's like Montana. It's huge. It's grasslands, steppe, big mountains like Montana. Like really interesting, cool wildlife, very dramatic weather. It's not that hot in the summer, but man, the winters.
Oh, cold.
I'm in Montana. I'm not afraid of the winters.
Yeah.
Just remember, during the Soviet era, they used to send the people who were too ornery to be controlled in Siberian gulags to Kazakhstan to straighten them out.
Then I would fit right in because I am constantly told how contrarian and ornery I am. So,
that's wild. I didn't know that.
Okay. Stephen Ward Jr. came to the show because of John. Wasn't 100% sure I'd keep watching after his departure. Kept watching and am a fan of DeProgram and TMI. Now refuse to watch any of John's new content. Don't trust him now.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. A militant watcher. Hot damn.
Well, we like our militant watchers. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Exile the Knights of Malta. Now, I have an important question. What's better, homemade vanilla, classic vanilla, vanilla bean, or French vanilla?
Vanilla bean.
Homemade vanilla for me.
Vanilla bean.
All right. R.I.P. Michael Parenti. Hey guys, big fan of the show. What do you think has to be done to get even semi-mainstream media, shows, movies, etc., back to creative original content instead of remake slop? I don't think it can be done because of it's the corporatization of everything. Everything's looking for short-term profits. Just, it's the wildness of, like, say, the movie studios in the 70s was because they were independently owned. And once Columbia becomes part of Sony and so on, I think it's just everything. I mean, it's always product, but it becomes product,
Yeah. You need a new medium. It's new mediums where you get new stuff.
Longhorn Clemens, Ted, do you resent John personally? Let me put it this way. The best way that, I don't know, resent, I don't know there's a lot of ways to read that. I wouldn't trade lives with him ever. So in that sense, not at all. I kind of feel sorry for him, to tell you the truth. We've talked about that off air. I disapprove of what he did. We've talked about it. How do we feel about, the three of us feel about the vote to merge militaries with Israel?
It's treason, and the lawmakers that signed it should be hung by the neck till dead.
It's bad for national security. So
it's the definition of treason.
I agree with Robbie.
It is the definition
with
of
France,
treason.
And they're an ally.
Yeah, I agree with Robbie. I agree with Robbie on this.
Robbie's right. I agree too. JT, if you went to the moon for the first time in ages, John Park wants to know, what would you say on the moon? And
what would I say?
Yeah, what would you say? Like, one small step. And Robbie, when you become president of the new Communist Party of the U.S., who will be your vice president?
JT, you go first.
What would I say on the moon? I'm on the goddamn moon. No, it would need to be something epic.
I'm on the fucking moon.
I'm on the fucking moon. And they would have to carry it, right? They would have to carry it.
Who could forget the immortal words of astronaut Thomas?
He says, quote, I'm on the fucking moon.
Look, Mom.
Look, Mom. What's wild? I would want to go to the dark side of the moon because that's basically, I want to find the UFO bases. Like, it's like I'm here for the remote viewing thing to see whether or not there's
real
bases.
Isn't it like almost just like a few degrees above absolute zero over there? Like, it's really hard.
Yeah. Cold. But you got the spacesuit on. Right around your buggy.
And Robbie, when you're the commie king, who will be your number two?
Yeah. So when I get elected president, I'm going to shock some people. I would make Jamarl Thomas my VP.
Thank you, Robbie.
Very serious.
Thank you, Robbie.
And Ted Rall would be my press secretary. And what his job would be to always tell the truth to the people in the newsroom. And if the reporters don't like it, they can go fuck themselves.
I like it.
Now, you know what that means, right? That inevitably, there will be a point where what you want to put out will be contrary to what's true. This is all governments, like even the best of governments run into this thing of, like, I'll tell you this. When John F. Kennedy exposed to the media that he was like, look, we don't have the ability to get in space. The Russians have a head start on us. I was shocked by that. Because usually that's not the truth that we would get. Oh, we're in power. We have all the missiles in the world. We have more missiles than we ever need for anything. We have more missiles than any country in the world. Okay, this is while the media is reporting that the United States is running out of missiles, right? Mm-hmm. What happens when inevitably Robbie needs something put out that is not entirely true, but you dictate it to Ted Rall that he's always supposed to tell the truth?
But here's the beautiful thing. Our government lies so much, they would expect the lie. So by me telling the truth, no one would expect it.
No one would believe it?
No one would believe it.
By the way,
Oh, that's even
I would
worse.
also be Jones. I would hate that job. I would Jones for Secretary of State. I really think I'm cut out to be a diplomat.
Well, then Manila could be the press secretary.
Yeah, and it should always be like a cute girl.
And you speak French. French is the language of diplomacy.
It used to be. Yeah. English is now. But yeah. Okay, a few more, and then I've got to bail. FU so thanks for the $1. I will go to Montana and raise rabbits. Guess the movie. Oh, I know.
Hunt for Red October.
That's correct. T2-123, have you seen the cop shooting in Wisconsin?
No.
Oh, no. Really? Another?
I've not.
No. All right, I'll check it out. Obviously, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
By the way, are we going to watch the Odyssey? I have not watched the movie. I haven't seen it. I haven't even paid attention to it.
I'm rushed to see it. I mean, I kind of feel like it's one of those things like I would love to see this in 3 months if it's still in theaters or whatever. Streaming is fine. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. The reviews I've read are that all the complexity of Odysseus' character is gone.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I don't like the cross. Yeah, I'm.
How do you guys feel about the casting thing?
It's a disaster. And that's one of the reasons I'm not going to see it.
Casting stuff like this. Like if I don't want a black Batman, I would just prefer Batman to be Bruce Wayne, and the character is what the character is. I don't care about around the edges. So if you choose a black woman for Peru or black little girl for Peru in Hunger Games, okay, I don't really care. But main characters, yeah, I'm not a big fan of flipping.
Well, I mean, Homer's writings are probably second only to the Bible when it comes to foundational documents of Western civilization. You can put Aristotle up there, Socrates to an extent. Homer's right up there. I mean, it's foundational. And so when you do this, you are attacking the very foundation of Western classical civilization. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. If you want to celebrate Black empowerment, what the hell is her name? Ted, you might know. There was an Ethiopian queen. She defeated a Roman legion. Augustus had to make peace with her, gave her a statue of himself, and she had it entombed under the stairs. So that way, whenever her subjects came up to come and pay tribute to her, they had to walk on the most powerful man in the world at the time. I can't think of her name. I'm getting a brain fart.
It's not
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You don't hijack someone else's history. That's low, cheap, pathetic, and lazy.
Hijacking of it that I don't like. I mean, by the way, I feel this way for Star Trek too. So or even the way they did Star Wars, the way they did Luke Skywalker, where he's throwing away his lightsaber. It's like, why? So you put in a Molly Sue character, and then you trash Skywalker. I'm not even a big Star Wars fan, and I felt they were paying on that. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, don't do it. You don't need to do it.
I'm very sorry to have to do this, but I'm enjoying the chat. But I've got to go try to get this thing removed from my fucking side of my head. All right, so I'm out of here.
Want me to do it, Ted? I can come over. I got you.
Believe me, that would probably be a lot faster and cheaper than what I'm going to be doing. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. See you tomorrow, regular time. DeProgram, 9 a.m. Eastern time. We will see you then. Bye.
Have a good one, guys. Be safe.